Okay. Hopefully everyone can see the screen here. We're going to begin as we always do in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. I'll start with a prayer. Heavenly Father, in the spirit of St. Ignatius, we seek your guidance in embracing change with faith and courage. Help us to find you in every shift and transition, trusting in your divine providence. Grant us the wisdom to be adaptable. May we let go of our own plans when necessary and be open to new paths to serve your greater glory. In uncertain times, remind us that adaptability reflects our trust in you. Strengthen us, resilience and openness to your spirit, so we may better serve you and others. We pray this through Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. So this is our new lesson on adaptability, and we are going to look at how to adjust your lessons, your curriculums, and everything else in light of the new AI that we have been exploring and hopefully playing with, having fun with. I did check in on several of those submissions. You guys are making some awesome work. I hope you have a chance to look through on Educate Magis. The whole plan was to make those available to everyone so that you can check out what other people's creative ideas are on how to start applying AI. And today I'm going to give you a lot of ideas that I have used, and then hopefully you will provide some more with each other as we do breakout rooms. But to start with, as always, I want to begin with a game. So today's game is one simple question, and that question is, what is this place? I will open the floor to the entire chat. I will give you a hint. It is in Colorado. So there's your hint for the day. Anybody who can put in the chats where this place is that you are seeing on screen in front of you, give it a go, give it a try, give it a guess. Use whatever tools you can think of. And the only goal is to tell me, what are we looking at? What is this place? I'll take guesses if you want to try to guess to get it correct, or if you want to do some research, or if you want to use a tool. Alex got it. Well done, Alex. But wait, can you be more specific? That is in Telluride. And specifically, what are we looking at here? That one is not something I would expect to be common knowledge or easily accessible, but you know what? ChatGPT knew exactly what it was when I took this picture with my cell phone earlier this week and said at the top of it is the historic power plant, which is barely visible in this photo, and yet it knew exactly what it was seeing. This surprised even me, the fact that it got so incredibly accurate. All I did was, this is literally the window, and I said, what is this place? Picture from my cell phone, and it's able to identify it. This is something that I think we as teachers are going to need to be adaptable towards in the coming year. So I'm not going to focus today's lesson on this, but vision capabilities of AI are staggeringly good already. And they are being embedded into robots, into the Figure 2 robot, which just got announced yesterday, and the Optimus robots, and many, many other more robots that are coming. Be prepared for technology that can see and understand the world around you. And I don't know what that's going to lead to, but it is here in its early days, and it is pretty amazing. You can just take a picture of a part of the world and it will know exactly what you're looking at. So anyway, that is the warm-up game. Congrats to all of our winners who got Bridal Veil Falls. Beautiful hike, by the way. Would recommend if you're ever in Colorado. Check it out. Okay, I'm going to jump into next a little story mode, and we're going to stay here for quite some time. Over the last month, I attended a workshop. The AP Institute for Cybersecurity Networking and Fundamentals. They're adding a new AP course in cybersecurity and networking, and 2 courses, in fact. And I went to get trained on it because this is their pilot year for the program. And one of the goals that I had at this conference, quick aside, was anyone else there who's here in the chat right now? I didn't bother to ask while I was there, but I don't know if anybody from Jesuit schools were there. While I was there, they spent a week really breaking apart this new course and working with the best teachers in the country, the best computer science, the best cybersecurity teachers, to try to construct lessons and materials that could be widespread and publicly available for when this course becomes official the following year. And so one of the goals we had was to work through constructing not a curriculum from scratch, but lessons from scratch. And that is what my goal was going in, was to look at how do we design and redesign our courses and our lessons using the AI tools that we have. So I'm going to take a deep dive into what I did that week. And I want to tell you that story because I think it drives home the point of what this whole lesson should be about, which is that we can use the tools we have to adapt quickly to whatever new coursework comes our way. So let me preface this by saying, I have never taught cybersecurity or networking before in my life. I've dabbled in it with computer science principles, but this is a brand new course to me. So there are people there who have been teaching this for years. We were split into groups, we were split into teams, and we were told that each of us would take some of the lesson material from this book. So just to show you, they have the course framework there. They split it apart. We've got lots of lessons. So they've given us some ideas of what to work with. They also gave us a PDF version of what was in this binder. And so, of course, my first thought is, well, if it's digital, then the AI can process it, can work with it. So we were given 3 days, and we were teamed up into a group of 3 people each. And 3 hours a day, we spent trying to design one single lesson from this year-long course. The opportunity I took was to choose AIs as my collaborative teammates. And I wanted to challenge myself, and I told them that, and they said, okay, we'll give it a try, see how you do. If you get lost, we'll have you join another group. So we had roughly 7 teams in our group. Each of them had 3 people. I let them choose first. We all got to pick from the lessons available. I said, go ahead and pick whatever lessons you all want. I don't care what I'm left with. What I was left with was lesson 3.4 from this year's course. And I took the entire course and uploaded it into Claude, as you're seeing right here. I included the template lesson plan, which they gave us, that we were supposed to fill out. And I started processing this with an AI. And the expected speed up here is about 10x. That's how much more work, more productivity you should expect to be able to do with AI training. And this was right after our last class. So I told you that last class that I had spent about 10 hours trying to get to know Claude's new artifacts. And once I put that 10 hours of play, I switched gear, and now I'm ready to do work with AI tools. So let me walk you through exactly what I did during the course of this. All right, now remember, 3 days, 3 hours apiece. And then we were to present and teach our lesson at the end of the week to fellow experts to get feedback. So I said, let's take a look. We've got lesson 3.4 and the lesson plan template. Let's fill out a lesson plan template in the artifact. So it said, yep, certainly, I can do that. And here on the side, I'll show you. It broke down all the pieces that come from Unit 3, Topic 3.4, which was configuring and troubleshooting a local area network. This is what your IT department does at your schools. We're teaching kids how to do this to get certified. It gave me 3 learning objectives, listed them all out. It gave me the duration recommended, which is 3 to 4 class periods, about 45 minutes each, and then a little time for review and assessment. Okay, great. My essential knowledge, needed materials, some considerations like prior knowledge, okay? That'll come back later. Started with a hook. Let's do a scenario. A small business needs to set up a local area network. Here's our first activity. Here's our second activity. Here's our third activity. Folks, we were only supposed to get through this. This was the goal by the end of the week. We would have this. That's it. I've already got 3 activities. It has taken me 30 seconds. These are pretty good activities, but as I always say, whenever you're planning with AI, you should do an iterative cycle. Start with ideas, create something, go back to more ideas, create something, and repeat. So ideate, create, iterate. Those are the 3 words that I will use most often when I teach people how to plan with AI. It comes up with really fast ideas. It fails fast, as they say in the startup world. Some of these ideas will not work. I don't know what they are yet, but I've created something that I can work with, and then I can run some ideation on it. And I said, okay, this is a lot of information right here. Let's go ahead and format that as a dashboard. And it did not work. It gave me an error. All right, that's fine. It failed fast. I copied that error word for word. I copied the error into the AI, and it said, oh, I apologize. I made a mistake. Let me fix that. Good job. We failed fast. So here we are at a dashboard that breaks down the lesson for me. And I've got an overview. There's a nice, this is much more readable. This is so much more readable, but this is not as detailed as I wanted. So it's okay. I created something. I've got a product. Okay, let's go ahead and try that again. I want to add another tab for each activity, so it's a little more readable. Now we're breaking it into a little more creative work, something that's more human focused. Okay, now we've got a nice overview. There's my land configuration activity. Here's my second activity with all the objectives. This looks really nice. Okay, so it's more structured, it's more formatted for breaking apart the lessons into the smaller component pieces. And all I did was tell it, make a dashboard, and it did. I coded it, it created it, it's now interactable. I've turned this planning session into an interactable session. So now I can really examine these and break them apart. And that's what I do first. I said, let's go ahead and take a look at the hook. How's our hook? I want to make it more immersive. I want an artifact that just isolates that section. And this is something else that I often say with AI is it starts very general. Your job as the user is to make it go specific. Zoom out, zoom in, you might say. So it starts zoomed out, zoom in wherever you feel attention is needed. I said, let's zoom in on the hook. And we've got this to start with, the hook. All right, the day in the life of the network administrator. That sounds pretty appealing to me. I was like, yeah, I do want to show kids what this is like in the real world. This is a class that actually is supposed to give them a career certification by the end of it. So showing them a lot of immersive real world stuff is exactly what I think is appropriate. Okay, and it says, well, let's start with this Tech Nova startup. You've just landed your dream job as a tech administrator. Okay, you notice problems as you come in. There's this urgent meeting. There's this problem. There's this challenge. We hired the best. We need this up and running. All right, this is a little over the top, but I've got a creative hook. It's not bad. And then we're going to look at some other stuff, transition, notes to teacher. Feel free to adjust anything you want. I do. I always feel free. I can tell the AI, go back, do it again. I don't need to stick with the first thing it gives me. It can rewrite the entire thing with different names, different starting points, different ending points. All of that takes roughly 30 seconds of my time. I said, this hook's good enough. Let's go ahead and just, we'll circle back. But let's go ahead and create the first activity. Be detailed. This is something I wanted. I wanted lots of little details. I want to zoom in. If you don't tell it to be detailed, it'll give you general. Let's make sure it ties into the scenario. Let's make part of the open world decision based on what they choose. Just assume they choose it first. I wanted this to feel explorative. I want this lesson for the kids to dive in and just be able to like go any direction that they want. I want to design highly engaging tasks for my kids to play with. And through that, I think it'll be highly educational. That's my theory. But I love play. We talked about this in the last lesson. I love the idea of play. So we're going to make these highly immersive. That's the goal. And let's see what it made me. My next one up is the LAN configuration activity 1, duration 60 minutes, scenario continuation. All right, after the meeting, we got to set up the server room. Okay, we got a task. We've got some objectives. This is good. From a play perspective, I've played a lot of video games. There's scenarios, there's campaigns, and in each scenario, there are objectives. We do this in our class every day. We give them learning objectives. For the kids, if they're in this immersive environment, having this direction is very helpful. It's helpful for us as teachers to give feedback. So it's nice that it's got objectives for my play. It's not just go have fun. It's no, we're going to be doing these 4 things. These are going to meet those learning objectives that I had earlier in my map. And it gives us some of the things we need. We need a network simulation. I need some way to simulate this. We need a worksheet with the Technova requirements. We need a network topology diagram to show how everything interconnects, and we need a list of devices and roles in the network. Okay. This all looks great. I don't have any problems with this walkthrough. Looks fine. It doesn't really matter to me, the details just yet, as I'm still doing that cycle of ideate, create, ideate, create. I'm not like finalizing it. In fact, what I need are some of those materials. And so you might think, we're building this thing from scratch. This is going to take hours. But no, I just said, give me the materials. Generate the materials, please, that I will need. We got a question from Michael. Pause here. How did you get those tabs? So these artifacts here, I went over that in the last lesson. You have to go to your settings down here and turn on artifacts. That was the questions that ended our last session. Go back, check that video at the very end, and walk you through how to set this up in Claude. And you can do it for free right now. So it created materials now for this specific lesson that I had open, that it said, I need these 4 things. Where there, materials needed. I need these 4 things. What did it make me? Well, it didn't make me the network simulation. So that's still on the list. But it did make me a list of requirements. So here's on my list, my Technova network requirements list. Company overview. Here's the company. Here's some specifications, IP address, subnetting, devices. If you want to know about this, go ask your IT department. I'm sure they'll be happy to walk you through everything. We need all these set up. We need departments set up. We need special. Okay, so it gave me a list of all the things that the company will need, required devices being one of them. It generated a map of the network topology. This was just auto-generated as part of the materials that are needed. So it can make diagrams. This isn't a great diagram, but it's a nice starting point. That's a nice little overview. If I just wanted to print that out and just take a look at it, I could see what it's talking about. And then finally, we've got a list of roles, device list and roles. So what all the devices are doing, some switches, some servers. Okay, great. Again, I'm not looking at the details here. I'm looking at the big picture. I'm just planning this lesson out. Okay, that worked well. Let's plan activity 2. Okay, so it made activity 2. And you know what? It also automatically made the supporting materials for this activity. So it gave me a little security audit sheet. Oh, this is nice. I'll be using this later, little worksheet, just for the kids to kind of go through and check off. And it gave me a nice checklist here as well. All the things that they should be doing when they check the security of their network. So I've got this beautiful little checklist thing. I can hit the download file button here and get this to my desktop. Or I can copy it and just take the pieces that I like. And I don't bother to read the rest of this. I know what I'm doing here. I know what it's making, but it gives me a nice summary for its own purpose. AI always does better when it writes its thinking out before it does its thinking. I want to point that out. It always does better if you let it write out its thinking first. And finally, I said third activity, let's go ahead and get that day 3. Okay, so I've got, this looks very similar. All right, scenario continuation. It gave me a little ticket log for some problems that they're going to run into. They're going to have to problem solve this. A nice little cheat sheet for terms and vocab that they're going to need to use. I'll probably print that out as a handout when I get to that. Okay, so I like the materials. I like this lesson. Now I'm thinking, how do I make this work really well in my classes? I don't want kids just to be alone. I want them to be collaborative. Collaborative skills are one of the things I highly value in my classroom. I think it's a 21st century skill. I think it's a future-proof skill. And so I'm going to try to make them in groups of 3. And I want to know, what roles do you think would be good for the students to have in this activity? I've never done this before. I've never taught this class before. I don't know what roles might be good. So it gave me a list. Okay, here's some roles with what they're responsible for. The network engineer, I'll call them the prompt engineer. They need to interact with the simulation GPT. Yeah, we're going to have somebody using this simulation. Secondly, a documentation specialist. I like this actually. Somebody to record everything that the team does so we can talk about it as a class. And what I ended up doing is when we ran this as a lesson, I had all the teachers have sticky notes and they brought their actions up and they posted them on the whiteboard. And I had the documentation specialist in charge of those sticky notes. So I had a designated writer. And then finally, quality assurance. I wasn't thrilled with that one. So I said, I want a research role. I want somebody whose sole job it is to look things up on ChatGPT or to ask to explain vocab terms, to look up questions, things they don't know. I said, okay, we'll do that. We'll do a research and support specialist. And if you have a fourth person, you can make them quality assurance. I was like, great, that's fine. I don't have any groups of 4 yet, but if I did, then there we go. I got a backup. Okay, so this is really coming together nicely, and I was starting to think this might be ready to test soon. I want to write up a story in a way that excites the students. Don't make it about the network going down. I think that's too stressful. Let's just say you're starting out, you're 3 network administrators, you're starting out at this company, and here's your team, the challenge, the stakes, the mission. I copied a bit of this and I pasted it up to a window that I shared. And I just said, this is too much. I was like, let's just say you're starting off at Technova. They need to set up the network. That's your job. In fact, this was way too much language. So I just like tone it down. This is an entry-level job. Hint at bigger things. Don't mention them. Okay, let's try this one more time. You are entry-level network administrators. You and your 2 teammates will be assisting the senior IT staff member. I was like, oh, that's great. I can have this like expert in the room during the simulation to help them out. That can be the person kind of guiding them through all of this. So I really liked that. The first assignment. Yeah, this was all good. I liked this. And then I remembered that this is a part of a lesson. We got to be tying into other lessons. Early on, in Claude, this is a project. I said to them, I posted the entire binder. This has the entire year in it. So I just like, what have they learned already by lesson 3-4? Like, what else have they been learning? So they said, here you go. This is everything they've learned so far this year. I was like, okay, well, what about just this unit? What have they learned? Sure, by this time in the unit, they will have learned all of these things. And I said, that's perfect. So I went up and when I started this lesson, I said, all right, kids, you've already learned about switches. You've learned about these things. So now we're really set up well to try a simulated environment where you have to establish those things in the network. And that was it. That was the end of my lesson planning. Okay. I'm going to remind you all that this was 3 days, 3 hours a day with 3 teachers in each group. At this point, I've been working for roughly 1 hour. I have the entire thing structured, planned out, and ready to test. So my next step was, I've still got to make the simulation. I took all of these artifacts, which we can find a list of right here. There's everything that it just made for me. Here's the stuff that I uploaded at the beginning. And I took all of these, I copied them, I pasted them into a Word document, 17 pages long. And I said, I've got all the materials for this lesson now saved to a nice PDF file. And I uploaded it to ChatGPT. So ChatGPT now has a network admin simulator, custom GPT model made. These are the custom instructions I gave it. You're creating a simulation with a team of 3 high school students acting as network administrators for a startup. You should be helpful without giving away answers directly. I don't want it to just tell them what to do. Only give one action item step at a time. Folks, this is huge. This number 3, you will not believe how much of a difference that makes. Chat loves to overwhelm kids. I always put this in. just as a safety measure. And then if they ask to read certain documents, you should summarize what's important on it so that they can read that. I've uploaded that 17-page document. It has all the requirements, all the things they're supposed to be doing. Okay, let's get started. So here you are, your first day on the job. You have 3 documents available: the LAN configuration plan, the Technova device list, and the network requirements. Which document you want to read first? And now I can just play. I'm like, let's play. But actually, I'm going to start a new chat just so you can see what the kids would have seen. And I ran this with the teachers at the end of the week. Assuming chat doesn't go down. Don't go down, chat. I know doing live is always a risk. All right, there we go. Welcome to my first day at Technova. Okay, let's see the device list. Go ahead and check it out. Okay, 20 desktops, 2 servers, 3 network printers. Hopefully y'all remember this was what I created in Claude earlier. So it gives me a whole list of it all. And it's like, all right, what would you like to do next? These are all the objectives, kind of. It's working me towards those objectives just naturally on its own. And you can play through this. In fact, you can play through this. I will send you the link to this as part of the email today. And you can try it if you want to see. It's just a publicly available, free to access now for every kid. If you have a paid account, you can create these custom GPTs, but every kid can access them for free if you send them the link and share it. I had ChatGPT make a QR code. I projected that to the front of the screen. All the teachers in the room took their devices, snapped a shot, and it took it right to the spot. And they played it, and it took 15 minutes, and they all had a blast. In fact, at the end, I received multiple feedbacks of, that was impressive, that was fun, that was exactly what I wanted out of this. And this was the lesson that most teachers were least confident in. It was the one that all avoided picking. And I picked it because I said, I don't need to be an expert at this. I have people, I have AIs, who are experts at this for me. I just need to use my teacher brain to construct this in a way that facilitates your learning well. So all told, this took me roughly 2 hours to make. All told, the rest of the lessons took roughly 27 hours total, 3 people, 3 hours apiece for 3 days. And this outperformed, in my opinion, and in the feedback that I heard, it outperformed what everybody else could create in that time frame. I was able to generate ideas extremely fast and tweak them extremely fast. I was able to test this. I was able to play. And when I ran the lesson, I was the only one running this lesson. And I was able to facilitate 7 teams of 3 people working on this lesson very easily, and had a great time doing it, honestly. So it was an experiment for me to try to show off what these tools are going to enable you to do in your classes. I was trying to adapt to what the technology opened up for me. And I used it to inspire me and to give me ideas on ways I could use it. Remember that it told me, why don't you create a network simulation? And I was like, sure, I can do that now. It said, you're going to need these materials. I said, great, make those materials. Now I have them. It gave me ideas for how to split my groups. If I asked it, it could probably give me a great idea for how to assess this. If I wanted to make some sort of assessment at the end, or how to give feedback, or how to continue it, I can ask for ideas on any of those things. And it takes me roughly 1/10, 10% of the time that it would have taken me if I were doing this without these tools. And I say that those other teachers were using ChatGPT for their lessons too. They just weren't doing it as effectively. So they were using it to come up with, questions that they could put in their Kahoots, and they were using it to come up with a worksheet, that they could hand out. And they were good. Like I had fun with the worksheet they gave, like when we did that lesson. So they came up with good stuff. But I was able to more effectively use the tools to more readily adapt what I was doing. And I think you are capable of doing this. Now, this, I started at the very highest level. This is what I think is like frontier, cutting edge. Maybe by the end of this year, you find yourself doing something like this. Awesome. It's a goal you can set for yourself. You don't need to start here. I wanted to start with this as kind of an end zone to shoot for. What you could do is just use these tools to start planning your year, to start planning your lessons. I went and uploaded my other class. This is computer science principles. No, this is the same one. Okay, so this is the new class I have to teach this year. Again, I've never taught this class. I'm not scared to teach it. I just uploaded the whole guide and said, break it down for me. I want to see what this would look like. And let me make this like 5 campaigns that they're working through, kind of like the simulations we just did. And then I was like, great, give me 10 ideas. Give me just a few. All right, let's start with the first one. It's just this idea of start general and zoom in, zoom in, zoom in, zoom in. And then finally write me an artifact for scenario 1. And it gave me, here's your mission. Here's your welcome email. This is what you're going to be doing today. It's like, okay, great. I need materials. All right, here's oh, we got an error. All right, remember, fail fast. I did fail fast, and then eventually I got it to work. Here's a nice password strength generator. My password is password. My password is weak. Oh. Okay, it doesn't seem like that. Anyway, it gives me an interactable little artifact here. 2-factor authentication simulator. All of these can be made, used, or made better. I just followed the same process of starting general, zooming in, and then starting to make some things. I believe teachers should be content creators. I really do, because you can make stuff so fast now. So if you have an idea for your class, make it, is my philosophy. Along those same lines, if you have a book or a research or a style, like some acronym that you use in your class, it probably knows them. Over the weekend, I found this book. I highly recommend this, especially for math teachers, but I would honestly recommend it for any teachers. And it's called Building Thinking Classrooms in Mathematics. Now, I used to be a math teacher, so I understood everything that they were saying in this book, written by Peter. I do not know the last name, Liljadal. I'm going to butcher that. Anyway, I said, hey, have you heard of this book? And it's like, yeah, I know about that book, because that book was published in 2021. So here's the main ones. There's actually 14 in this book. And it is how to redesign your class so students are thinking through all of it. I believe that's essential, and a lot of you are struggling with that, with your old way of doing assignments. How do you ensure thinking happens? Somebody, in fact, had a great post on Educate Modulus about that very question that I tried to answer in a short amount of time. But I said, I want to use AP Computer Science Principles, Unit 1, and I want to use all of the ideas in this book. What would that look like? It's like, well, here's what you would do. And it gave me a whole bunch of ideas. And I said, what about just like day 1? What would that look like? I'm about to start day 1 next week. What would day 1 look like? And so it gave me some objectives. And then it talked about how to use the ideas in this book. One of them being brief introductions, 5 minutes or less. And then we get kids out there working. One of them being random grouping, which I'm actually going to try. I like the random grouping he talked about. It's very good. One of them being an open-ended problem. And it gave me an open-ended problem that works with day 1 of computer science principles. It's like, okay, that's great. And then it's like, okay, so here's what we're going to do next. And here's what we're going to do next. The gallery walk is one of the ideas that he talks about in the book. And it planned me a whole lesson designed around a book that I just picked up and read. And I'm already teaching using all the methods that are in that book, because my lessons are now perfectly planned to align with it. And I say perfectly, it's not perfect. In fact, there's a lot of things I thought I could kind of do better. And one of the things I said is, hey, give me a more detailed summary. Folks, this is a summary of all 14 strategies, and it's very detailed. And now that it has this written out, I said, okay, yeah, use that new list, reimagine days 1 and 2. Give me 80-minute class periods. That's what I teach on. And I said, use all 14 of those things, because I thought you only kind of scratched the surface. I said, yeah, sure. Let's try it again. Here we go. Try it again. We're going back through again. And so it gave me a more updated version and then talked about what it did. So I said we could do better. I said, I've already got lesson plans. Let's just go ahead and feed you those lesson plans and have you reimagine those lesson plans using ideas from this book. And one of the reasons, like a big reason why I'm excited to do this, in this book, he talks about how throughout all of his 15 years of research, he has found 3 common things that teachers really want to see from students: perseverance, risk-taking, and collaborative skills. And he said, these 14 things will help you build those 3 things in your students. And I'm a big fan of future-proofing skills in my classroom. And so if I can take those and immediately start to teach perseverance, risk-taking, and collaboration, then I believe I am best preparing our students for the future that's coming. So I'm going to take those ideas this year and try to apply them to my class. And I'm going to have the AI do it for me to write out all of the stuff, so I don't have to waste a bunch of time reinventing the wheel. And I asked what it more questions. I switched to my other class now, etc. I'm not going to bore you with more computer stuff. I know most of you don't teach computers, but most of you probably like Harry Potter. Do we have any Harry Potter fans in the audience? It's okay if you aren't. I created a couple of just fun things to start to play around with, to get me going, get my brain going on how I could make better tools for my class. One of them was, I want to create this like scalable, differentiated quiz in my computer science class. And to do that, my wife's a big Harry Potter fan. I made her a super hard Harry Potter quiz with 50 questions. And I will tell you this, these were hard, this hardest level. She, like off the top of your head, trying to remember some of these without an AI, it's tough. It's tough. We played through this, and I got it to work so that it would, after every 2 questions you got right, it would move you up to the next level. And so I kind of created my own version of scalable difficulty that was trying to meet people in that reach zone. And then I was like, okay, if I could do this with Harry Potter, I could do this with Spanish. I could do this with history. But I start with Harry Potter because I always play first. I'm going to show you a few more of those tools, and then you're going to get a chance to try to come up with ideas of your own for the last 10 minutes. But I just want to show off a couple of other ways that you might be not aware you can use AI tools to speed up and make your life a little easier. Recently, and I'll show this one off, I made a navigator tool for our campus because our campus just got redone and all the buildings and locations moved around. And so I uploaded a map and I was like, can I get each of these as 3 separate pages? This is something I used to waste time on. Can you just separate this document into pages? And it did that. So I've got all 3 pages of my school now as individualized documents. So I'm going to use that in one of the things that I show you. I said, can you split all high school departments into 10 categories really quick? And it did that for me. And I said, can you give that as just a numbered list? Yes, it does that for me. Great. Can you give me that as an HTML file? Yes, here's an HTML file. Okay, there's the HTML file. Now I've got something to present to you all. In a moment, I'm going to have you use this list to choose your breakout room. So I'm always trying to use AI to speed up the creation process. And if I have an idea, I just make it a reality. And that's really one of the best ways to use AI to adapt. A few other ways I'm going to show you here, and I need to switch very quickly. So I'm going to stop the share. I'm going to reopen the share. And let's look at what I was just talking about. Not all of you have access to this. I understand this is Flint, but this is just a shell case of ChatGPT. It's just ChatGPT in another format. Here is the campus navigator I made with that map I just showed you. I uploaded the map and I said, if people ask where stuff is on the map, tell them. And yesterday I said, I'm going to the Murray conference room. Where's the Murray conference room? And it told me, boom. And I walked there and I found the Murray conference room. It's nice that it doesn't go off task. Like it says, sorry, I'm here to help you find locations on campus. I'm not going to get distracted. This is one of the reasons I like it. It tries to keep things school focused and very task focused. Whereas the principal's office, that is now in P102. So that's a new location on our, just got changed this year. We have the Harry Potter quiz I mentioned to you earlier. Here I am playing it. Difficulty Difficulty 2 out of 2, promoted. Now it's going to move me up to difficulty 2 questions. And I got that correct, and I got this incorrect, and I got that correct. Feel free to judge my Harry Potter knowledge all you want. My wife does it all the time. I did get permission to share some of my students what they've been doing this summer. I've been making these flint bots for them to play with. I made the Oregon Trail, but I made the hard version where you get a score and you have to up that score and you have to make tough decisions. You can't just sit there shooting squirrels all day like I did when I was in elementary school. So somebody played through. I had Claude write all 5 of these scenarios, making them super challenging, throwing in these learning objectives. And then I was just like, all right, now let's design it so it's an interactive, immersive game, so it's fun. So the student said, I'm going to tackle the Rocky Mountains. Okay, here's your options. What do you want to do? And she's like, can I ask questions before making a choice? Absolutely. Go ahead. What do you want to do? It's like, okay, I need to know, what am I supplied? Is the winter approaching? And it just kind of starts to give her information. Now she makes an informed choice, and she gets points for making good moves that it considers wise decisions. She loses points if she makes poor decisions. You can lose this game. Also, fun fact, if you make this out of 100 points and you start them at 50, they just play until they get the score that they want. So there's an idea I have to try out this year. Anyway, she played through the entire scenario, reading, choosing, making decisions, and eventually succeeded on getting out of the Rocky Mountains with 100 points. So that was one of them. I made a mathematical pattern explorer. She said, can you help me explore vectors like AP physics? And it starts by showing her patterns of vectors, really nicely labeled, explained, key points. She wants to see vector addition. Show me vector addition. Wait a minute. Show me the tail method of vector addition. Right there, boom. So we got a new visualization. So she is just quickly busting through this concept of vectors without a teacher, right? This is the summer. She just jumped in. She found some like practice problem over the summer and was working on it. And eventually goes into math, Pythagorean theorem, the distance formula. Each time, really nice tip to tail method of vector addition visualized for her every single time. All this was supposed to do was to give her pictures what she was seeing. I took this from Joe Bowler, which is a book I've mentioned multiple times before. Visualizing math, one of the best ways to learn it. So there's 2 of my students just diving in. I didn't tell them to go do this. They just found it when I made it and made it publicly accessible to the kids. They found the link and they just started playing with it. What else do we have here? Oops, I can't actually click my top because it keeps changing on me. I made, for my wife who wants to learn Spanish for her work, I made this Spanglish adventure storytelling. It changes everything Spanish to English as you're going, and then allows you to practice basic Spanish stuff, and it corrects you if you say something wrong. But it makes it really accessible because it just translates it as you're going. I don't know if this is the best way to learn Spanish, but it sure was fun. And we played around with this for quite some time, doing an adventure with a magic rabbit in a forest. You could change the story however you want it. You can make it more focused to ordering food or traveling abroad or going to Chile or whatever it is. You can also listen. You can have it speak to you in the language, and it does a very good job of that. So this is what we're going to spend 10 minutes on. I have just shown you a ton of my ideas, but I would love for you all to share the top of your head what would be great ideas that you could start creating this week in your departments. And you have 10 to choose from here. So, I mean, even administration, right? I made a campus navigator. That is out of just documents that we are given from the administration, and I turned it interactable. I plan to do the same with our HR manual. So you have 10 categories here to pick. Take a moment to figure out which one you want to go in, and I want you to split into breakout rooms for 10 minutes. And just off the top of your head, what ideas excite you? What would you love to try? This is an ideation session with other people who are about to go into the same place as you. So hopefully use your wisdom, your collective knowledge. I'm going to stay here. So if you have specific questions for me that you want answered, I am here to answer them. But I'm going to open the rooms now after I stop sharing. There's the stop button. And we're going to go ahead and open up breakout rooms. So you get to choose rooms number 1 through 10. Hopefully you have the number in your head. But there they are. They are open for the next 10 minutes to try to share some ideas with other people on this call. And again, I'm here to answer questions if you don't want to go to a room just yet. I'll go ahead and check the chat right now to see what people have been asking. Franco, yes, I think the book is helpful for language teachers. I very much do. I do not think it's specific to math, but all of the examples are math examples. So it's wonderful if you're a math teacher, and it's helpful if you're any other teacher, I would say. Gilbert, you're welcome to use your research to talk to your teams. This is your chance to share that work. You do not have to give a presentation, but this is your chance to share it. So,
Spencer,
yes.
Sorry, which one was science again?
Science is 5.
5. Okay, thank you.
Hey Spencer, I'm just curious with the tabs you had. I understand the artifacts that generated lots of those, but like, is the tabs, the interactable tabs, that's something that's coding? Is that it? I'm a theology teacher, so I have no experience with coding.
Dashboard. It's just called a dashboard, and I asked it to make one.
Okay.
So when I was able to select the different activities you're talking about.
Gotcha. Yeah. Is that accessible outside of Claude, or is that something that you'd have to give the students a link to Claude, or do you download it like?
So Claude is free to use, and if you enable artifacts, they should be able to make their own dashboards.
Great, awesome, and we can share a dashboard with the students.
I'm not sure. I haven't tried that yet. It codes it live. So if you find a way to copy that code, say HTML code, if you convert it to HTML code, you could share that as a web page.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
As a file that they open, and it's just like opened as a web page, so you can click through. But no, I haven't done much with the dashboards other than use them for my own idea organizing.
Cool. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Hey, quick question. I noticed there were like criteria for assessment of the homework. Are we getting feedback or grades that I'm just not aware of, or
I have
is there
not
a place where that is?
I have not put grades on those. Mostly this is completion. My philosophy around grading is not to make graded homework. It's to give you guys kind of that reach goal. That's just my general teaching philosophy. There is a final project, which I'm going to talk about in the last 5 minutes, and that's kind of your exit ticket for the course, if you will, and that's due in October. So I'm going to go over that here at the end of class verbally, and then I'm going to send you an email with that final component tomorrow. But it's all kind of cumulative up to that point.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yeah. Kristen, does that line up with what you were thinking?
Yes, exactly. Yep.
Great. Oh, that's fun. We have no math teachers here today. Oh, sad.
I know, Spencer. I was going to say, what's room 4 and 8? I was looking at the zeros.
Looking back, PE, physical education. Those are the 2 departments that have been the least concerned with the onset of AI from who I've spoken to. Mathematics, though, I mean, they went through this with calculators. This is not game changing for them. They've changed their game. They realize. Right. Are there any other questions I can answer from anyone who's here right now?
Spencer, you know what I really appreciate with what you just did is the way I learned so much something unfamiliar from like peeking over the shoulder of someone who knows what they're doing. And that's what that just felt like to me. You know, getting to see it.
Yeah. Well,
I
and
don't know.
that was
That
my
was good.
goal. I was like, I want to show this by doing, right? I want to do this. So I went to that whole week. I was like, my whole goal here is to pick something I'm completely unaware of and start from scratch, but show how AI can be used now to give every teacher an edge.
Right. Yeah, no, it was just really helpful. I feel like that hit right where the way that I learn.
Good. Yeah, that's perfect. Hopefully others find themselves in the same boat. I know we're missing about half the people today. I know a lot of them have already started.
Yeah, I know so many different school schedules, so all over, but the recordings are terrific.
Good. Very glad to hear that. So Kristen, what I'm going to assign at the end of this is a 1-minute video of them trying their creation, so that we can have essentially 80 minutes of content in action. You think that's sufficient for what you were thinking of in October?
I think, yeah, for sure. And then maybe an encouragement if there were additional materials of,
Yes.
you know, whatever that looks like within the Educate Magis site that we could complement or collect or
Yes.
something along those
That's
lines.
exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, no, that's great. That would be that's something again that I feel like I would find helpful and interesting, like an introduction from you, collection of those videos, conclusion. Yeah, no, that would be great.
Yeah, so I will be sending out the 17-page document that I made to show off, as well as the link to the simulator. So everybody will have that as a reference point. So yeah, we'll wrap it up here in about 2 minutes and send everyone on their way to a great school year, we hope. Hey, Chris.
Hello. I'm just jumping room to room.
Oh, sure. Love it. A few more seconds here. Everybody should be coming back in. Hopefully you find something like that helpful. Hopefully you find the ability to collaborate with your peers helpful. And hopefully you continue to do that in this coming school year with your departments and inter-departments. I love getting ideas from Spanish teachers, from English teachers, like how to create better AIs, how to create better, more immersive simulations. And that's something I plan to do a lot of this year, is just constantly be creating. I follow the Seinfeld rule of write every day. I make an AI every day, basically now. And it's just to get me in the habit of creating good content and figuring out what good content looks like. So you will be creating content for this course. Your capstone for this course is as follows, and I will be emailing this out tomorrow. It's not up yet, so don't look for it yet, but it will come out tomorrow. And one of the things that you are to do for this course is design, like I showed you, one lesson. Maybe it's over a few days, maybe it's a mini unit. Pick whatever your least favorite topic is in your class That's my advice. Remember how I waited for the last pick when it came to the computer science lessons. I waited for the one that nobody wanted to do. Pick that and experiment with AI in that lesson. You don't have to. You can pick one you love and know already, so you know how to make it better instantly. But you can also pick one that you hate and you don't look forward to teaching and you wish you could do a different way. Just pick that. It's probably, I say pick that one because then it's okay if your lesson doesn't go great. Like you can have room to experiment. It was already your least favorite lesson. It's okay if this one fails too. It won't impact you that much. You should know that by now. So that's my takeaway from this course. We will be meeting back again in October. I would like you to film a total of 1 minute's worth of content from that at some point of you running that lesson. So 1 minute, no longer. And with that 1 minute video, if you've made anything with AI, we would like that submitted to go with the lesson. So we can see your lesson plan, and then we can see 1 minute of you showing that plan in action. And it could be, you could just film your students working on it. Like if you've got kids on devices, you could show yourself presenting with AI generated materials or whatever it looks like to you. You get to decide. And we're going to come back together as a big group in October and share all of those. So we do need those uploaded before the next class. I'll go ahead and I'll include a deadline with the email as well. So sometime before October, plan it, teach it, record it, upload it, and then we get to share as the last thing we do this year. And this will roll us right into the Jesuits network's next activities in October, November, where hopefully this class will be a launching point for teachers across the country, that we can use the documents and the ideas and the videos that you make and inspire other people. So that's all I've got for you today. I want to thank everyone for showing up and wish you a wonderful school year. I hope this inspires you to try new things, and I hope this saves you 90% of your planning and prep time. Honestly, that is what I am seeing in my own life. And I would love for you to experience that joy of getting back hours in your day using the AI tools available to you while simultaneously making really phenomenal products. If you need ideas, reach out to me. I am AI specialist at our school this year. I have time designated to work on AI stuff, and your questions will only make me better at that job. So you've got my email. Otherwise, I will see you in 3 months. Thank you all very much for coming.
Thanks, Spencer.